small child, like a baby, is wearing a trans flag, and that has nothing to do with the future trajectory of the child. It will be just a giant shock if that kid experiences sexual confusion as the kid gets older. It'll come out of nowhere. No, I'm not. It is not a matter of moral apathy, morality that is taught to the children of this country. That is not a matter of moral apathy to me. I think it is an active evil to teach small children that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. That is not a matter.
It's an act of evil to say gay and trans people exist. Yeah. Anyway, apparently, Weeby, our Ben Shapiro correspondent, before we get into the debt ceiling stuff, Weeby, our Ben Shapiro correspondent, is telling me that Benny Boy came out of the gate swinging and is upset at other conservatives. Why? Because they're not upset enough at woke pride corporations.
Well, corporate America continues to push forward this nonsense, despite the fact that Target is taking it directly on the chin. And part of that is, again, because conservatives refuse, many of them, out of some bizarre sense of civility, to call this stuff out. So I'm not sure how you don't call this stuff out, frankly. I mean, Disneyland, okay, there's a clip that is now emerging from Disneyland. It's sort of painful to talk about the fall of Disneyland. So I grew up with my family going to Disneyland. Like, as a kid, we went to Disneyland a lot, right? We lived in Southern California, and it was sort of like the place to go. Like, the best day of the year is your parents would take you out of school for no reason and take you to Disneyland. It was amazing. And then when we had kids of our own, we actually had annual passes at Disneyland when we lived in Los Angeles. And so at least twice a month, we'd end up taking a Sunday and going with our very little kids to Disneyland. And then when we moved to Florida, we went to Disney World. And now, over the course of the last 3 years, Disney World, Disneyland, they've decided that it's very important to woke themselves. At the behest of...
Like, absolutely nothing has changed. It was gay as fuck back then, and it's still gay as fuck now, okay? It's so stupid. Of course, this Disney adult. Like, Ben Shapiro, of course Ben Shapiro is a fucking Disney adult. He was like a violinist when he was growing up. Come on, man. He wanted to be in Hollywood. He grew up in California, Los Angeles, folks. Okay? The notion that, like, Disneyland has somehow changed their fucking values and is, like, now gay is so dumb. It was gay as fuck when you went there, and it's still the same level of gay, okay? You didn't have an issue with it back then because you didn't have a fucking alternative where you were, like, trying to sell your own fucking stupid ass product as a counter to Disney. Like, oh man, the fall of Disney is one to behold. It makes me so sad to even think about. I need someone to hold me. Like, you're an adult talking about Disney, man. They didn't change anything. That is a grift, by the way. That's not a sincere take, for the record, from Ben. Just so you guys understand. There's a difference. Not that it really matters.
People like Bob Iger, who is just one of the world's most ridiculously perverse political figures. So this clip has now emerged from Disneyland. There's something at Disneyland called Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is made for small girls. That's what it's for. Okay, so for small girls to go get made up to look like princesses. We did this for she's now 9-year-old daughter. We did this for my daughter when she was maybe 4 years old. She loved it. It was amazing. When we bought her a dress, and they do her hair up like a princess. And it's...
Bro, you're a whole ass adult talking about Bibbidi Bobbidi, dude. What the fuck are you doing? Oh my God, bro. Being mad about the Bibbidi Bobbidi shit is so... Like, you are the least serious motherfucker on the planet, dude. It is crazy to me that anyone takes conservatives seriously when they're literally angry about the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. What the fuck is that? I don't even know what that is.
Beautiful. Okay, well now, because Disneyland, which used to be a place that actually had a brand, so that brand involved in basically enmeshing you in a fantasy world in which all the people were, if you walk down Main Street in Disneyland, the idea is, well, you were in Main Street, 1920s America, right? Same music, cobblestones, like that. That's what it looked like. And when you went into Fantasyland, the idea was it was all princes and princesses. And yes, with gender-specific garb, because anything less would be ridiculous. Well, now they've decided that the personal sexual preferences of their employees take precedence over the brand itself, which, by the way, is brand death. It's ridiculous.
Ironic that a Jewish man is like, 1920s America was so fire. Like, not for you. What are we talking about?
Name another business. I mean, I guess now it's a lot of businesses, but name another business 20 years ago where people were like, your personal value of individuality is now going to overcome the corporate brand. In fact, this was a joke in Office Space, right? The joke in Office Space was that your personalization extended to like the flair that you could work, meaning like small pins that you could wear on your uniform if you were at a restaurant. That was like the extent of the individuality. Now, your individuality has extended to the point where at Disneyland, you can be a man with a mustache wearing a dress in front of small children. So this is tape from Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique 2023. Again, these are this.
Folks, it pains me to show this to you. I'm afraid the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique has gone woke. Okay? I'm sorry. It is with great sadness that I deliver to you the woke downfall of the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
This is for small girls. That's what it's for.
So my name's Nick. I'm one of Fairy Godmother's apprentices. I'm here to shop you around and make all your selections for the day.
Nick is a fairy godmother. Nick is a total dude, like wearing a mustache. Like wearing a mustache and guiding small children in there. I'm a fairy god because that's what you want to explain to your 4-year-old.
I like that in Ben's world, you're not explaining the 4-year-olds the concept of fairies. But like when one of the fairies is like kind of mask presenting and it was maybe like non-binary, like I don't fucking know. That's the craziness there. It's like, dog, that's a fairy. Did you explain that to your 4-year-old? Like, that's where we stop? That's like, how fucking stupid are you, dude? That's Disneyland, man. That's Disney World. Like, every part of it is just like fake. It's made up. What are you upset about?
Child is why this individual is wearing a dress and talking to small children about why he's a fairy godmother. That's what you pay hundreds of dollars to go to Disneyland for, presumably. And then Disney wonders why they are losing market share. Maybe it's that. Well, conservatives should call this stuff out because it's bad. Yeah, but
yeah. Ben Shapiro would be like, the conservative movement's silence on the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique saga is deafening. Yeah. No, you're right, man. It's really fucked up that like, it's really fucked up at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. They got fairies that are like, gender fluid or like non-binary. I don't know. I don't fucking know, but they're just like non-gender conforming. Okay. Which is really fucked up. They're fairies. It's fake.
Conservatives seem more concerned with, I will say, maintaining a perception of civility than they are in fighting the fight. So I don't mean to single anybody else out in particular here, but there are a couple of examples of this over the weekend. So Philip Klein, who's an editor over at National Review, I enjoy a lot of Philip's work. I think that a lot of the stuff he says is really intelligent. This is not one of them. So the account End Wokeness on Twitter tweeted out pictures from Kohl's. Kohl's, in honor of the holy month of Pride, has put out LGBTQ Pride gear for small babies, like onesies for small babies with the Pride Progress flag on them. And Philip tweeted out, I don't have a problem with this. If somebody wants to dress their baby in a Pride onesie, why should it matter? We're not talking about transitioning minors here. It's just a shirt.
Oh my God. A conservative had a normal take? Wow. He's right. Wow, a sane take? Ben's like, I'm offended. You need to be insane. Did you forget what business you're in?
Well, it isn't. It is an attempt to indoctrinate in a philosophy of sexual fluidity a small child. That's what it is. It's amazing to me that, like, educating small children, we all take a fair bit of time and thought to figure out how we wish to educate our children.
Dog, does he think that, I don't know. Bro, no fucking child is going to remember what kind of fucking binky they had. Or what kind of fucking onesie they had. And also, There's gay parents. Like, why can't they fucking put some pride shit on their kid if they want to? I don't get it. Like, why are you so bent, out of shape over the shit?
To pretend that it is a matter of absolute moral apathy whether a small child, like a baby, is wearing a trans flag, and that has nothing to do with the future trajectory of the child. It will be just a giant shock if that kid experiences sexual confusion as the kid gets older. It'll come out of nowhere. No, I'm not. It's not a matter of moral apathy, morality that is taught to the children of this country. That is not a matter of moral apathy to me. I think it is an active evil to teach small children that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. That is not a matter.
It's an active evil to say gay and trans people exist. Yeah.
Matter of apathy. And the gear that you wear is, of course, associated with that. Everybody recognizes this. Whatever gear you wear. If your child is wearing a piece of religious iconography, you can presume that the parents are going to teach a religious philosophy to that child. If a child showed up at school wearing a Taliban flag, you can assume something about the parents and what that kid is going to be indoctrinated into. And if the kid shows...
Yeah, they're going to have a based-ass kid, dude. That's metal as fuck. Yeah. That happens all the time, by the way. Parents are always dressing up their children with the Taliban flag. Like, what are you saying, dude? I do think it's funny that, like, he compares religious iconography to the Taliban flag, which is a fundamentalist group of individuals that are running a nation. And their way of existence is infinitely closer to what Ben wants for America. So I guess that's what he means by that. Are the Taliban selling merch now? Like, what's going on? Is that a thing? I kind of want to buy some if that's the case. I'd buy Taliban merch. I don't give a fuck.
Up at school wearing a trans flag, or it's a baby wearing a trans flag, you can figure out exactly what the parents are going to indoctrinate into that child. Corporate America taking advantage of that with the certain knowledge that Republicans are going to be apathetic. That's how they've been able to win for so many years. Well, now Republicans are pushing back, and it's fascinating to see who is deeply uncomfortable with all of this.
Win what?
So, David French, who, again, I'm
What are they winning? What are they winning? Like, what is corporate America winning? What's the victory? They're just, like, making sales. What are they winning? What's the victory here? Like, what's happening? They're winning the hearts and minds of babies, brother. You don't understand. They're winning. They're winning something. I don't know what it is, but they're winning. I'm sorry, but like, if you're fucking mad about a goddamn t-shirt and that's what your commentary revolves around, you're an unserious person, okay? You're a deeply unserious person. People used to love dunking on fucking hysterical college freshmen that would get mad at shit like this from the left. Ben Shapiro himself has probably cut infinite amounts of fucking videos about, like, look at how fucking hysterical these people are. Look at how fucking silly these woke SJWs are. Look at the cancel culture. Bro, this is significantly worse than that, okay? It is significantly funnier than that because you're a whole ass adult. Like, you're wearing a suit while you're complaining about the bibbity bobbity shop or whatever the fuck it's called at Disney, dog. That's insane to me. You're like a very unserious, sick pervert. It's ridiculous. You cannot exist in society, man. You just can't.
Friends with David, I don't understand why his beat now. You know, he used to be a National Review. He used to be a lot more conservative, I think, in the way that he viewed the world. His beat over at the New York Times is to say all the things to liberals about how much they hate conservatives, but as an apostate conservative. It's the person who's too moral for the conservative movement. That's the only way I can interpret a piece titled, "Will DeSantis Destroy Conservatism as We Know It?" Now, this is absurdity. It's just absurdity. And it's of a piece with pretty much everything that David is now writing for the New York Times these days. The last few pieces are things like, the right is all wrong about masculinity. Shrieking on Twitter is not a masculine virtue. Or,
wait. He's right. He's literally correct. He's so mad because this dude read him to fucking filth, okay? I say this all the time. You think you're some fucking big masculine alpha dog? You're posting on Twitter. It's the gayest soy thing you can do. Shut the fuck up, okay? You're just as gay as the rest of us, motherfucker. You're not doing some masculine alpha dog shit because you're fucking shrieking about a fucking baby's binky. That's crazy, man. Yo, you know what's alpha dog shit, dude? Back in the day, men used to fucking die in wars. Nowadays, the conservative movement is literally not even doing fucking, can't even do a hate crime right. They're just literally like crying about babies' t-shirts and binkies and shit, dude, on Twitter. Wow, so masculine, dude. So mask.
a guilty ex-president, E. Jean Carroll wins her suit against Donald Trump for sexual abuse and defamation, or Tucker Carlson's dark and malign influence over the Christian right, or Disney versus DeSantis. How strong is the company's lawsuit? So, in other words, David's beat at the New York Times is to tell liberals everything they like to hear, but guised in the language of conservatism and from the most pure possible perspective of what.
No, what that dude is doing is like actually fucking sane. He's looking at the modern conservative movement and saying, hey man, maybe focus your culture war shit on like something else, because this stuff makes us look fucking weird and toxic to the average fucking voter. That's what he's saying.
What conservatism could possibly be. And so the idea now is that he suggested that Trump was a particular danger to conservatism. So dangerous that not only did he not back him in 2016, he also wouldn't back him in 2020. Okay, so again, the conservative movement was being damaged by Trump. Now he's moved that to include Ron DeSantis, the only rival to Trump, who's within spitting distance of him in a primary. And the reason that he's upset with Ron DeSantis, presumably.
It's so funny because Ben Shapiro said the exact same thing. And it's kind of the reason why he's like trying to back Ron DeSantis as best as he can right now. You're mad? You're mad that some dude wrote the exact same thing you've said so many fucking times about how Donald Trump is destroying the conservative movement until you literally were like, okay, never mind, he's the president, so or he's the Republican candidate, so we have to fucking push for him. And not only that, but also you have talked about, in some respects, you were one of the only sane voices about the fucking the red wave that was supposed to come in the fucking midterms that never came, where you openly admitted that like some of the culture war stuff was maybe a little too much, that we were looking a little too toxic to like the average person. Which, by the way, Ron DeSantis is like that too. He's like, he does civility, but his legislative agenda is ironically identical to those fucking psychos that you farm on a regular basis. I'm going to talk about Davenport, Iowa in a little bit. Don't worry. From Davenport, Iowa, owns fire supply business in the area. Wanted to give you an update. The union operator's contract ends tomorrow at 5 p.m., so the demolition of the building will be halted, allowing time for people and pets to be found. Such a sad case of management taking money and not doing upkeep. Guy bought the building just 3 years ago. Sorry. I know it's off topic. Just saw your retweet. Yeah, we're going to talk about Davenport, Iowa in a second. It's a fucking crazy story.
Is because Ron DeSantis is taking up arms against corporations that are getting special benefits from the state of Florida. He says, DeSantis, his primary victory would signal the transformation of conservatism since 2016 wasn't a mere interruption of Republican ideology, one in which Republicans would return to fusionism once Trump leaves the scene, but rather the harbinger of more permanent change. DeSantis is ambitious, but his political commitments have an underlying consistency that extends beyond that ambition. He fights the left. When you understand that distinction between the two men, between Trump and DeSantis, you understand the course of the race so far and its likely shape going forward. Who DeSantis attacks is ultimately less important than how he does it. DeSantis punishes Disney for merely speaking in opposition to a Florida law that restricted instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in Florida public school classrooms. DeSantis attempts to regulate social media moderation. He attempts to restrict speech about race and racial equality in public universities and private corporations. He's even banned private employers from imposing a COVID vax mandate. Now, you can disagree with DeSantis on all of these things and still recognize that the forces DeSantis is fighting are quite nefarious, and that in order to truly understand what DeSantis is doing on the corporate front, you have to understand the dirty combination of Democratic Party politics and corporate America cramming down politics on Americans via the market mechanism, which is, in fact, what is happening. And when DeSantis goes after Disney and removes their special tax benefits, that, in fact, is not a betrayal of conservatism. The special tax benefits shouldn't be given to corporations anyway. It is
I hate that the only time there's any kind of like corporate regulatory mechanism from the government is like at the behest of like Republicans because they're doing reactionary culture war shit. But ironic that he's like upset about this, you know, being the free market libertarian he's supposed to be. But also doubly ironic because, like I said, Republicans have fucking cultivated an environment that is straight up hostile to any sort of corporate regulation. Okay? Eating, reading chat, listening to news, checking his dog. Bro, you were the definition of ADHD. That's why I'm such a fucking great streamer. It works very well with my personality flaws, okay? Anyway, my point is this. Republicans have basically farmed and groomed their base of support into absolutely despising corporate regulation. So if you're like actually going to engage in some level of corporate regulation, the capitalist media is going to fucking rip your asshole, okay? Capitalist media is going to rip your asshole. The Republican base is going to say, okay, you're going a little too far. And most importantly, even like people within the party infrastructure are going to start getting mad. That's why when you ask nationally prominent Republicans, even people like Rick Scott, who is a straight up fucking demon, okay? Florida's very own lizard person. Even he's like, not the best thing that Ron DeSantis is doing. I hope we can get to the table and arrive at a conclusion. So, you know, Ben, in a weird way, is so invested in his own like revenue streams where he's providing anti-woke alternatives to whatever the fuck mega corporations are selling, that he's kind of shutting down, like he's kind of actually hurting the chances of like the Republican Party, which already is in a really self-defeating place because of all the gains that they've made as they foolishly acted out some of the desires of their more radical, more insane fans and got punished politically for it.
Insider cronyism. But he says that, again, you have to oppose both Trump and DeSantis. Now, again, this sort of idea that your purism is going to somehow win victories on behalf of a conservative worldview is absolutely beyond me. Target should take it on the nose. Kohl's should take it on the nose. Disney should take it on the nose. And this notion that only the purest, only the most pure people can ever represent us on every particular aspect in order for us to achieve utopia, good luck with that, because it isn't going to happen, and you're going to lose every battle. Or maybe you don't mind losing every battle. Maybe you would rather have Joe Biden continue to be president and wreck the country along all of these lines. If you're talking about who's more restrictive of free speech, Joe Biden versus...
I'm willing to bet that dude's article basically revolves around get back to the fucking basics and like focus on things that matter, like cutting taxes, which is also not correct, right? It's not correct. If I put my fucking, RNC hat on, because sometimes I put on the DNC hat and I talk about what the Democrats should do politically and from a policy front. If I were to put on the RNC hat, I would immediately recognize that the Republican Party is currently fucked. Why are they fucked? Because on the one hand, you have the base, like, that is very mobile and, attends every fucking primary. And then you have the general election, the broader group of voters that are going to go out and vote for the presidents, and you know, they're going to vote down ballot. And unfortunately, the primary base is the primary base and their interests are very different than a national Republican Party. Okay, the base is straight up Al Qaeda, because they went too fucking hard and they kept dangling the carrot in front of them, and they actually gave them the carrot. Okay, whether it be Roe v. Wade or all of these state legislatures that are like doing some insane stuff with trans people all around the country. All of this like anti-woke stuff, if it just stayed as like woke is bad and we're anti-woke, it would have been fine. But when you actually move on, when you move beyond like what woke actually means, and you define it and you start attacking it and you start like burning books and you start fucking literally passing legislation that is like making it illegal to be gay in public, making it illegal to be trans in public. And then there's also like, you know, a bunch of terrorism that's happening on that same, with the same exact attitude. All of a sudden, a lot of the normies who would vote for you are going to go, I want tax cuts, but like, what the fuck is this crazy shit? This is a major problem within the Republican Party because, as I've said time and time again, the Democrats run away from their base, but the Republicans run towards their base. And they ran a little too far towards their base. And considering that what a lot of their base wants is bloody murder, okay, people inevitably recognize that like a lot of this stuff is awful. Like the abortion ban being a great example.
Ron DeSantis, that is not a particularly close call. Joe Biden is actively attempting to use the federal government to implement into law anti-discrimination law that basically cracks down on every religious institution in the country. So there's that. But the Republicans are going to have to get wise to all of this. I think most Republicans are wise to it, and that's why you're finally starting to see some backlash against corporate America. Meanwhile, quick update on corporate spokesperson Dylan Mulvaney was single-handedly taking down the Bud Light brand. So here's Dylan Mulvaney cosplaying as a woman while just apparently being a straight dude.
So I recently told my parents that I may be a little bit romantically interested in women. And that was a big shock for them, considering the past 10 years of coming out as gay, then queer, then non-binary, then trans. And I think it was just a bit of a shock. So I tell my dad and he goes, well, I would love to see you get a woman pregnant. And I said, oh, no. She would be getting me pregnant. And then he said, what, do you have a vagina now? And I said, never say never. And then I tell my mom, and she goes, I would just love to see you own property one day. And in California, that's sort of, you know, a parent's dream. It's not having kids or getting married. It's are you able to own a house?
Bro, these people are the biggest Dylan Mulvaney fans, dude. I don't want to know anything about Dylan Mulvaney. I do not care about Dylan Mulvaney. I wish her well. I want her to live her fucking life. And all the people that, like, you know, are like, oh, Slay Queen, you're great, whatever, that's awesome. It's just not for me. Here's what a normal person does when they see a TikTok like this. They go, great, I'm happy for her. Not for me. Move on, okay? But Ben is literally like, he's got like interns going, what has Dylan Mulvaney done today? Send him to me right now. I need to make sure that I know every single thing Dylan Mulvaney is doing. Why are you so hyper fixated on one random trans influencer, man? The fuck is wrong with you? You got the noties on. You have the notifications on. You're a hate watcher. Someone in the chat said this video is like 5 months old. She literally has a different face now. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's even worse. Like, bro, these guys are literally doing the same shit my hate watchers do. You know where they have like little folders of like Hasanabi out of context clips that they will like recycle anytime they want to fucking drum up some drama. That's what Ben is doing to fucking Dylan Mulvaney. It's insane, bro. You're fucking obsessed. Get a job, dude. Get a fucking job. How are you this horny, Ben? Jesus fucking Christ. I didn't think Ben was a chaser, but god damn, dude.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wow. That is the ideal, is to have a fake vagina and pretend that this can get you pregnant in some way by a woman. This person does not understand basic biology.
Oh, every part of like the commentary space now, this includes like leftist commentary as well, is literally looking at people attempting to joke or actually pulling off a joke and then being incredibly uncharitable and like super fucking A-coded about like other people joking. Okay? Like when Dylan Mulvaney says like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the one who's impregnated," like that's a fucking joke, dog. You think she doesn't know that she can't get pregnant? Like, what's wrong with you? Fuck! Makes me so mad. I hate it. It's not even like Ben. It's everybody fucking does this shit. People do it to me all the fucking time. Why is this literally? Why is this like 90% of commentary now? Is just like, well, my interlocutor is incapable of being humorous, so I'm just going to take any fucking joke that they made and act like it's actually completely serious. It's just like, who cares, man? Who cares? It's so mathematically uncharitable. It's so deliberately done, and everybody does it, and I fucking hate it. I'm sure I've done it from time to time because I'm like, I do have the you know, a touch of it, and sometimes I get into this like hyperfixation mode and I don't recognize that someone is joking, okay? But it's like, it's so fucking annoying, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, dude, this person literally thinks that she's gonna get a fucking, you know, Beyond Meat pussy and then fucking pop a baby out of it. Like, that's what she thinks. What the fuck is wrong with you, okay? That's not how that works. Everybody fucking understands that that's not how that works. She's joking.
So clearly he's a woman. I'm so what? And then I love that this ends with Dylan Mulvaney being like, my parents' dream for me is to own property. Yeah, I'm sure that was, when you were growing up, I'm sure that was your parents' dream. Your parents' dream was probably...
Beyond Meat pussy is the only time that Dave Chappelle has ever actually said something that's like remotely funny about trans people and trans existence, but it was also like sandwiched in between some of the most stupid, uncharitable, idiotic non-jokes about trans people that like, it just sucks.
For you to be this, but with like a small house in the San Fernando Valley. Alrighty, in just 1 second, we're going to get to corporate America's insane take on crime, Lululemon. This.
Okay. It's just like Ben getting mad at random trans people. That's like their political commentary now. All right, let's get to the debt ceiling.
Now to Washington, D.C. in the fight over raising the...
There's some really funny shit happening with the debt ceiling.
Federal debt ceiling, aka preventing a government default. It's going to enter a critical new phase today with the return of Congress. The White House and the Republican leaders spent the holiday weekend working out the details of a deal, but now they've got to try to sell that deal to reluctant lawmakers in their own parties. The agreement will get its first significant test in the House this afternoon, and Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill for us. Nicole,